Wow. So that QR code, like, don't take notes today. Everything, my speaker notes, the slide decks, the PDFs. I have a page of resources, 21 different resources that I speak about. So just chill, relax, get involved here. So that QR code, I'll show it at the end as well. Like snap a picture, not of me, but all right. Too late. All right. So like I stated, right, that QR code or that link right there will get you to all of the things that you need. It's part of accessibility. It's not just chucking a PowerPoint out there, right, or a PDF. It's a matter of including anything that like someone who's maybe not like you would be able to like use a screen reader for or import into like a note system. Like, I don't know how many people know about Notion or Obsidian, but everything is there. All right. So imagine, right? Imagine you're trying to do something that you take for granted, like renew a license, pay a bill, schedule a medical appointment, or download a report, or like fill out an evaluation form for this session, right? And you tried. It didn't work. You gave up. Now imagine that's your everyday. You tried. It didn't work. You gave up. Now imagine that's your everyday. Hey, did I just repeat that? Yeah. So yeah, no captions, no closed captions, no color contrast, no access, right? No chance. All right, some strong words. So come on. Seriously. 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 Yay. No, it wasn't your fault. It was the design. It was baked in that way to not be available to everyone. Okay. So me, right? I have optic nerve damage. I was born back in the 60s, early 60s, and my parents couldn't figure out what was going on, but I have what's called optic nerve damage and something called nystagmus. There's my acuity, 2200 in my right eye, 1600 in my left eye. I have little to no peripheral vision, but I can see all of you. This was my accessibility when I was a kid in like first grade. A golf scope so I can see the blackboard. That wasn't embarrassing at all. And a book stand so I can get these ginormous books with big text. And that was also hard to come by. That's me in a nutshell. All of my career and stuff. Again, remember, mom and dad, it's going to be hard for you to be successful in life, right? Due to your disability. But thanks to accessibility, right, throughout my career and being a digital native since I guess the 80s, I've learned to overcome that. So Clark College, Portland State University, CS50 at Harvard University, and all these other things that you may recognize. So when I'm giving a presentation, whether it's in my classroom or to people like yourself, I would be seeing it like this in large print. I was going to say something else, but that's what the participants are seeing. So thanks to not Zoom in this case, but to Apple, they allow me to zoom in while you just see that. If I were to zoom in on this thing right now, you'd all go dizzy. Anyone up for that? Okay, in and out, in and out. All right. So this is not working. Really? Okay. So I teach web development at Clark College. A program, web development, not a program, but a curriculum that creates accessible websites and web content. From day one, everything is about accessibility, okay? So today, we're gonna talk about some of the things that I constantly see people, in my sphere or in the world or my coworkers do that possibly, hopefully after today, you'll consider not doing. So accessibility, right? A lot of people think about vision, right? Sight and hearing, but what they don't think about is cognition, right? There are people with different cognition levels. So we don't want to introduce stuff that's going to confuse people. We also have to focus on people's ability for movement, whether they're able to use a mouse correctly, or maybe they're not able to, and they have to use some other piece of technology that's going to help them navigate like a site or a PDF or a PowerPoint or anything like that. I don't know if some of you have ever seen accessible technology, but there are things where people who can't use their arms will, anyone remember the game Battleship, right? Right. So where you gave coordinates. So what would happen is you would speak, and the computer would move to that coordinate, and then it would present another set of finer coordinates. So they would keep repeating like A5 and then J7 and finally click. And that's how they would access things on your site. The language that gets used. I don't know about you, but I've seen those emails where it could have been written in 3 sentences rather than this like diatribe of like, what the, right? And then attention, right? Someone's ability to stay in sync with what you're trying to communicate. So underlying everything in digital content, there's something called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. I don't like using acronyms, but I put it up there. And this thing is made by what we call the World Wide Web Consortium, WWW. And they have these pillars that say, hey, when you create stuff, that it needs to be perceivable, operable, robust, I got the order wrong, and understandable. I spelled poor wrong. All right, so that's a lot. And just know that there are different levels of accessibility under these guidelines. They have level A, which is not so good, double A, which is standard, and then triple A, which is very hard to achieve. So again, in my resources, if you're interested in looking at those guidelines, they're in the material. All right, pro tips. Yeah, that's an Alice Cooper shirt on my wife right there. And mine says, and it may be a little offensive, shut up, listen, and learn. But that's my friend from the Alice Cooper band. That's his thing. All right, so let's talk about accessibility for websites. How many people have been on a website and then they see this little accessibility thing? Did you have a question?
Yeah, there's somebody in the waiting room that's trying to get in.
Oh, well, thank you. Here we go. Please hold. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
All right. So let me go backwards. So again, there's no magic wand. If you have a website and you see this shiny thing on the web that says, make your website accessible, just install this and bing, bang, boom, it don't work. All right. I'll tell you why, because websites like buildings are built on structure, right? Some pretty rigid structure. Now, if I said, hey, man, I want you to go change out the beams on the second floor of that building, you'd be like, you can't do that. So just know this is HTML. This is what makes up a website. There's freaking 90,000 lines. And if you think, right, that some like plugin for your website is going to magically change all those girders and steel girders and stuff like that, it ain't going to work. It works a little bit, but it's not good enough. So just know that there ain't no magic wand that you can throw on a website. It really has to be retooled. I work in higher education. We have a lot of these systems that students use, and they thought they could do what I was just talking about, and it's not a pretty sight. All right, images and diagrams. A photo of an image that appears right on different pages. We have this, like, maybe you've seen captions under them, but for people who are reading using assistive technology, where they're relying upon something to read something to them, that's where you need to provide alternative text that's going to be meaningful to that person. All right. So when you have repeating images, and I've seen this a lot, don't use the same alternative text, because you and I can visually see, right, that those pictures or diagrams, whatever they may be, are the same, but, right, a person listening is not going to want to hear that repetition, all right? Fonts and typography. There is something called Atkinson Hyperlegible. This entire presentation, I don't know if it's readable to you, but this is in that font. It's meant to be very readable by people with low vision, people who have dyslexia. So yeah, and again, I have a link to it in the presentation resources, all right? Also, for dyslexia, just know that there is no Atkinson Hyperlegible. This font that the Braille Institute created is a really good font for all types of people. It's not on your Windows machines. It's not on Mac OS, but you can add it. I don't know how many people have done that before, and it's a fairly new thing, okay? So simplicity in typefaces. I get emails every day, freaking 4 different colors, like highlighted, and it's just like, no, don't do that. Keep it simple. I know how many people get those kind of emails. Am I the only one? No. Wow. It's all the non-caffeinated people. All right. So One Direction. Everyone know that band?
Yeah.
The singer, unfortunately, I think passed away recently. And think about when you're creating content, you want to keep things in one direction. Now, this is a form. I don't know where it's from, but notice it goes left to right, right? When you're reading this stuff, you have to go left to right. And let's say you have macular degeneration. And excuse me, you want to like cup your hand and then try to like go and fill out that form. It's impossible. So what I mean by one direction is you want to, not this, all right? Not that, not that, and not this. It's a little better, but you're still going left to right. When you design forms, right, this happens to be a little bit different. Notice it's in one direction, but when you do something like this, someone has to go left to right in order to do it. Yeah, you're like putting it all in their visual field when it's like nice side to side, but just know that it's better to do one direction, okay? Also, again, a lot of web stuff here, but instead of saying submit, just let them know what they're going to do. All right. Let them know what they're going to do. And I don't know what y'all do here. I teach web development, so I'm just giving you some insight. So if you work with people in this field, or you're in this field, or you meet somebody and talk about this stuff, I'm losing my voice. Just know. All right. Don't Make Me Think. That's a book, by the way. Anyone ever hear of it? Don't Make Me Think. It talks about why, like doors, right, are designed the way they are, and things like that we use in everyday life. But people should be able to understand your content the first time they read or hear it. All right. Don't include stuffy or stilted language. This includes limited use of acronyms. How many people are like acronyms, like get tons of acronyms in their work, right? How do the new people in your areas like those acronyms, right? Right. All right, let's just see if this works, right? Let's see. Yay. All right, let's talk about communication practices. PDFs. PDFs by default are highly inaccessible unless you use tools to tag them to be accessible. And a good way to start out by creating accessible PDFs is to, when you're using Word or Google Docs, is not just to like take some text and make it like bold, or make it like heading level 2 or 3 inside of your word processors, because those headings actually have what we call semantic meaning. So people using assistive technology, those screen readers know that it's an H3. So they're expecting first to hear an H1, just like a table of contents in a book. You want to structure those headings to be just like that, just like you would a table of contents. And again, you can use a tool like Adobe Acrobat Pro that's going to help you make those PDFs more accessible. And I know I'm guilty of this too. I just hit file, save as PDF, but no, I try to take great care in making my documents accessible. In Microsoft Outlook, on the right-hand side, in the latest versions, there should be a little thing that'll check your accessibility, and it will let you know when your accessibility is not good. All right, and how we doing on time?
We're doing pretty good. You have about 10 minutes still.
10 minutes, all right. Alternative text on images. Like if you need to describe something, how much of it do you describe? How much of it do you describe to someone that's not sighted? Well, if it's a map, right, with directions and stuff like that, you're probably going to need to not only show the map, but provide text that's below it that's going to describe everything that's in that figure. But just know, all text should be as long as needed, but as short as possible. Somebody is listening to it. Us sighted people, right, can just go, through it quickly. But again, people who are using screen readers, yeah, okay. So this site right here gives you like a little decision structure that's going to help you better create alternative text. All right. All right. Emojis, everyone's favorite thing. I had an eggplant, but I removed it. I thought it would be offensive. I did this morning. So just know, like, use words. Yeah, you can add those. They're cool, but don't substitute words for emoji. What did you learn today? Well, I learned not to use the eggplant. No, they can't. All right, hashtags for social media, right? So what you want to do is not do stuff like this is not cool, right? You want to use something, it's a programming thing, believe it or not, called Pascal case or camel case, okay? So it makes it more readable. So trying to decipher where words start and end over there, no, use one of those up there. Who's guilty of that? Oh, come on. All right. All right. Teach everything you know, accessibility about you to your peers when you go home later, wherever you're going. And if there's someone around, just share what you learned with them. Zoom and online meetings. Where are the online captions? They ain't here. They should be, right? They're not there. They should be. So think about that. How many people turn on captions? Awesome. Awesome. I have a rubber duck. You get one. All right. All right. So again, do it because you don't know. You don't know. And as like my wife, she's 64, and she uses captions on TV all the time. I can't see them, but yeah. So mixed type text. Don't do this. All right. I see it at the college. It's like, what are you thinking? Right. So just keep it so people, dyslexics will be able to read it correctly. Centering stuff. It's not poetry. It's not a restaurant menu. Stop. All right. Stop. All right. Wedding invitation. Right. Don't do that. All right. Don't. All right. Testing and collaboration. Color contrast. Right. Color contrast. Simple rule. You want to have what we call a 4.5 to 1 ratio between like your foreground color and your background color. This resource right here, again, it's in the resources. You can plop in colors to make sure that you get at least 4.5 to 1. Okay, 4.5 to 1, right? Who would know? All right. Then we have these things like if you're in charge of websites, there are free tools that can help you assess how good or poor the accessibility of your website is. And excuse me, there are two. One is called Wave. It's a little browser extension, and it will tell you on the left-hand side there. The ones that you're concerned with are color contrast, errors, and alerts. Errors are going to be for that steel, that structure that we talked about earlier. So if you have structural errors, right, that's probably going to require some contractors. All right. There's another one here. This is called Accessibility Insights. Free, right? So just know. And again, in your organizations, I don't know if you have like a accessibility group, but we have one at the college. We have like a Teams and Zoom and Slack channels for accessibility where anyone can chime in and like talk about, success, troubles, all that kind of stuff. The true goal of accessibility is to make things accessible for people with disabilities. And as we all age, we're probably gonna run into a disability, right? So, yeah, okay, I know we're running out of time. Okay, so ask yourself, who might be left out with something you're creating? Use those tools just for fun. Like go to sites you use, right? And you'll be amazed, right? Like, whether it's a news site or a social media site, it's like, what? No, this is not good. And talk about accessibility with your team. And again, let's try to this is not like one and done. This takes a lot of work, a lot of work. And for state institutions like where I work, we can get in big trouble if we have a student enrolled and they're not able to use the assets and tools that we provide them in order to learn, okay? I know we had 10 minutes and I rushed. I need to add those to that resource sheet. And let's Social Security Administration. No, really, go there. It's not like one of those cool websites with parallax and you get dizzy when you're scrolling. It is really made for accessibility. So ssa.gov. How do I know that?
People line
Okay.
outside. Questions outside?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, guys.
Can you pull up the QR code again? By chance? Sorry, you're closing everything out. Oh, perfect.
I'm ready.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, that was great.